About 3 years ago, almost the day, I tried to do a video of this kit, and at that point I had it set up with the whole big silly 80s house rack thing, and if you want an idea of what that sort of looks like. But I tried to do a video on that. The audio never really sort of came out properly, and the 12-inch tom kind of sounded all funny, and I kind of scrapped it. But I did keep some of the video, so here's what that looks like, or what that looked like at the time. The kit itself is my first proper drum kit. It's a Premier XPK. I believe the finish was rosewood. I could be wrong on that, but it's from 1989, and I got it straight from the Premier factory in 1989. Now I think, if memory serves, I didn't get all of the drums at the same time. I think I got 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 originally with the 2216 kick drum. I've never had a snare drum for this kit, and even though I could have actually bought one a couple of times in the last sort of few years, I've always sort of held off. I don't quite know why now, but anyway, I sort of, as time went on, I bought a few extra toms. So now the toms for this kit actually range 8, 10, 12, 14, no, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, and I also have a little 6-inch tom, a little 6-inch concert tom actually, which is from a completely different series, and is in a sort of a walnut wood finish rather than this. But I've got that as well, and I figured if I ever did a Nico-esque type kit going around like that, then no one would see the 6-inch tom actually doesn't match the rest of the drums. But and I did try and do that type of kit a few years ago, just didn't work out. I think it was because, you know, you need the snare at that sort of angle, and I can't play it like that. But as I said, 1989 Premier XPK. It's got the long lugs on it. And the wood is Meranti, if I remember correctly, and it's got the black painted interiors. Over the years, I've had this. Well, I've had the smaller toms on rims mounts. Certainly the 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 I've had on rims mounts, and I only realised yesterday actually, and I can't remember when I put these back together, because these are straight into the shells now. I took the rims mounts off, but the 12 actually has the wrong mounting block on it. It's got a sort of an 80s block on it, and I only realised that yesterday. And the 14 I've actually got on a rims floor mount at the moment. I've got the 18, as he said, but the 18 is somewhere over in that corner, like right low down on the lower half of the shelving, and I just couldn't be bothered to try and get it out. It would have been just too much effort for what it's worth, and also it was a space constraint as well. I possibly could have fitted it in, but then again, I wouldn't have been able to get to some of the other bits behind me. So at the moment, the setup on here is 10, 12, 14, 16. They're all power sizes, which were obviously all the rage in the late 80s. The 2 kick drums. Now, I got the second kick drum, which is in slightly rough shape, but for the 40 or 50 quid I paid for it, it was worth the effort. I don't play double kick drums. I've said that before, but for the sake of like a little bit of a giggle, a couple of years ago I bought the extra kick drum, and so I've got matching 22 by 16 inch kick drums. I still don't have a matching snare drum, but I get this out and set this up occasionally when I just fancy a bit of a laugh and a bit of fun, and that's what this is. As I said, I can't play double kick drums particularly, but it's fun to sort of set them up like this, and this is kind of. I suppose you could have put an extra crash in here or there, but this is kind of, I guess, the sort of one of the classic 80s, maybe 90s heavy metal setup. So you've got the double Chinas up here, you've got the 18.5-inch Wuhan, and you've got the 19-inch sort of prototype S family sort of 19-inch China here, 17 and 19. 17 and 19-inch dark crashes. I've got a 13-inch KZ set of hats on here. 8-inch platinum splash. I've got a 22-inch, I think it is, SoundLab prototype ride, which is kind of a sort of a heavier, very well-defined ping to it, and yeah, as I said, I can't play double kicks, but it is fun to sit here and play on something like this. I never have the toms up this high. This is kind of level with the top of my chest, and as I get older and you know, my arms can't flail around quite so far, I've always put my toms lower. So this is kind of interesting for me, but it's been fun, and that's kind of what it's about. The snare drum I'll do in a different video. This is actually a Sonar Artist 14x6 bell brass, and it's loud. But as I said, I'll do that in a different video. Anyway, this is what it looks like, sort of in a little bit more depth, and this is what it sounds like. So thanks for watching. See you later. Okay, so a couple of things which I forgot the first time. So about the kit. So first off, the kick drums are kind of wide open. Not in the sort of very wide open sense, but as you'll hear, they're not very sort of clicky, they're not very punchy. I've got the original front heads on both of the drums, so and they had like a port on them, which is about, well, a hole really, which was about 12 inches. So the microphone is just on the edge of both of the kick drums, kind of in the middle, sort of pointing towards the beta area. But they're not very clicky. They're kind of I suppose, sort of, I'd say sort of Tommy Aldridge, early 80s-esque. I'm possibly getting that very wrong, but to my mind, that's what it kind of is. The toms are pretty wide open. The 16 has got a little bit of gaffer tape on it, but to be honest, the 16 actually sounds more like an 18. So I don't know what the 18 would have sounded like, probably a 20 if I'd have done the same thing with it. But yes, and I think I mentioned the kick drums are at 2 different pitches. I'm not making records in here, so I got them as near as I possibly could. They've got the same heads on them, but I just couldn't be bothered to get it, so they are absolutely spot on. I can't remember, I think that the left one is ever so slightly higher than the right one. I think it's that way around. Yes, and the other thing, as I said before, I'm not a double bass drum player. This is a bit of fun more than anything else. If anyone actually wants to see me playing properly, I'm quite happy to post videos of that, but that being a gig setting and not me messing around in here, which I don't take very seriously. And thank you for watching. See you next time.